Alrighty, welcome back to the Jays Center podcast. Owen Hill here, joined not by Jesse Burrow, but by Matt Creally. Matt, first of all, thank you for joining me. I'm sorry that this is the circumstances that we have to speak under. Really frustrating series watching the Jays. They fall to 39-41 on the season after losing two straight to the Astros. First of all, Matt, how are you feeling?
Owen, good evening. Thanks for having me. And man, isn't 162 just utterly joyous? There's a reason that people say there's no grind like this one, man. Baseball's supposed to make you feel this way. That's how you have to try and look at it. And you have to be ready for stuff like this to happen. But I don't think the Jays would say that this series happened to them. I think they would admit that they brought a lot of it upon themselves. So here we are.
I think that's the way to put it. I think with that, we may as well just wrap this episode here. And it's just tough, man. It's just been one of those seasons where no matter how hard they fight and claw to kind of get back in it, and like as soon as they kind of make you think like, oh, like they're back. Shane Bieber makes his first start of the season. They're getting healthier, man. Alejandro Kirk's in the lineup 2 out of every 3 games at this point. Like, name your guy. George Springer's toast, feeling better, and he's actually hitting a little bit. And every time Vladimir Guerrero Jr. looks like he's turned a corner, he kind of hasn't turned a corner is kind of what I'm trying to say. And I think this series was kind of just, it emulated the rest of the season as a whole on every level you look at. You look as small as like game to game, at bat to at bat. And if you look as large as like the record overall in 2026, it just seems like every time something goes right, something has to go just a little bit more wrong.
Yeah, you said it. This series encapsulated a lot of what's gone on to this point, 100%. Yeah, I mean, guys are getting healthier, but they're still not fully healthy. And some of the guys who just came back from injury are struggling to find their footing. The runners in scoring position, which we'll get into, is a whole other thing. When the offense is good, the pitching isn't good, and vice versa. Sometimes it just doesn't all go right. And you just have to learn to live with it, I guess.
Yeah, man. So this is like sad. Usually Jesse and I record these episodes like directly following games, and the emotions are still high. They're running hot a little bit. Like sometimes you get a little bit of a flare of like anger watching that. And you could understand a little bit of anger based on how that third game of the series went. It's honestly not even the case for me at this point. Like, was I mad watching the game? Absolutely. But at this point, it's more like a dejected feeling. Like, of course this happened. Of course they lost that baseball game like that. It's something that, and it's not fair. It's not fair to do this and what I'm about to do, but it's something like those are 2 games you lost that the 2025 Blue Jays won like 99 out of 100 times. It felt like.
Yeah, I agree. There are going to be probably people that say, "Hey, man, last year's over and it's a new year," and it certainly is. But okay, then you don't even have to think about it through the lens of the 2025 Blue Jays, a fundamentally sound baseball team that doesn't make mistakes in big moments. Regardless of anything else, just strip it down to the bare bones. Just fundamentally sound, mistake-free baseball teams don't lose the 2 games that the Blue Jays lost this series. And the words that you kept hearing from people on the broadcast toward the end, Caleb Joseph summed it up perfectly after the final out. It's just giving games away. And that's really what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday here. There's no other way around it.
Yeah. And it hurts so bad because you had won 3 of 4, 4 or 5 going back. Yeah. 4 or 5 going back to that Red Sox and Cubs series. Right. So that's why it hurts so bad, man, because you were back. You got to 500 on was it Monday night in the first game of the series. You did it. You clawed back to 500 from, what were you, 5 games down after the Jeff Hoffman kind of disaster class in Baltimore that you and Jesse talked about. Like, you had gotten there once, you got back to it, and man, I was so proud of them. Like, it felt good. It felt like now's kind of when we turn the corner. Shane Bieber makes the next start, and obviously Bieber's the Bieber of it all, and we can dig into him for as long as we want here. But like, is late game execution, and it's you got your leadoff hitter and 2-hitter on base or coming up with the guy on third base in extra innings with a chance to win the game, like the winning run on third base with less than 2 outs. Just got to hit a fly ball. Couldn't get it done, and then we're giving up 3-run homers to Joey Loperfido in the next inning. Like, it's kind of just like the story of the season. And then tonight's game, like a ball that you thought was going to tie the game off George Springer's bat, go off the right field fence. Obviously, great play made in right field, and then Luis Urias with like just an egregious base running error. And right before that, Jeff Hoffman throwing a ball into left field from the pitcher's mound, like on a play like you don't see guys pick off to third base. And it's just like, it's things that'll make you pull your hair out. It's things that, you're right, man, a fundamentally sound baseball team just does not do.
Yeah, you could point to a million different things from this week that had they gone differently, even just the small little minutia, it could have completely changed the narrative of this series. Is it not crazy to think about that the two chances they've had to finally go above that 500 mark this season for the first time since early April were the 5-1 blow lead in Baltimore, the Jeff Hoffman game, and the middle game of this series where they enter the top of the ninth up 6-4. Multi-run leads going into the ninth in both games. Getting above 500 is hard. Just ask the 2026 Blue Jays. It's frustrating, but like I said, you just gotta be ready for baseball to make you feel like this. How many quotes are there out there by some of the greats who have played the game of baseball being mental and designed to break your heart and all that. And man, are the 2026 Blue Jays just not the perfect encapsulation of close but no cigar, and kind of a summary of all the things that are so promising yet also so frustrating about baseball.
Yeah, so we can get out of this kind of like wallowing in our own sadness in a second here, but I have to ask, is like, is this who the 2026 Blue Jays are?
Well, that no answer to that question is going to be as simple as you want it to be, and I think we got some news that we were all kind of waiting to hear what the status would be earlier this week about what the Blue Jays were planning to do at the deadline. And Keegan Matheson, I believe it was, from MLB.com a few days ago, basically said, hey, if they are still in the mix, which they still are right now, the AL is kind of a tire fire at the moment. They are going to be buyers and likely aggressive ones. So as nice as it would be to be able to say after a series where they just kind of flushed a couple games away that, hey, maybe this is who they are, maybe they're not built for this. If they are going to be aggressive buyers at the deadline, if they can hang around striking distance to that final wild card spot, which at this rate is probably going to be at worst a couple games below 500, then the jury is going to be out on this team for another month plus. We're just going to have to wait for the other shoe to drop, and the very middling kind of weaker landscape in the AL, which I don't think I saw coming at all before the season, has been their one saving grace. And because of that, they are still in position to buy at the deadline. I know Ross Atkins was going out and saying, I can't quote off the top of my head where I heard this, but he's basically like, hey, we can't have enough pitching, so we're probably going to be looking for, like, they're not throwing in the towel. So we're just going to have to hang in there for I think a few more weeks, and we'll see where we are at the end of July. But yeah, it's tough. It's been an endless, like the AL right now is just one big endless middle, and the Jays have been a win streak away for so long, and they still just cannot quite pull away from the middle of the pack right now.
Yeah, I'm so excited to watch. I don't know about anybody else. Like, I don't know about you or anyone else listening, but I'm super excited to watch the Jays going for it. Like, just the joy of every evening for me is just turning on that baseball game. And like, God, it's getting tiring at this point. Yeah, okay, I guess, dude, like, you're right. Like, I think you're taking a much more big picture look at things, and that's the way to do it. You're 100% right. I think I always kind of fall victim to the prisoner of the moment thing, and it's like, yeah, I just watched two of the worst baseball games of this season in a season that's been really, really frustrating on a whole, and it's kind of getting to me. So we're gonna hang in there, and guess what? Like, they're not gonna fall out of this thing. The AL's not good enough unless like they go on like one of these disaster class losing streaks and like completely play themselves out of it, which I think, like, just as hard as it is for them to get above 500, it's going to be hard for them to get what do you need to be like 10 games below to not be buyers. Like, that's just kind of where they're at and how this season has gone.
Yeah, it hasn't been fun. There are a lot of things that have been quietly working around the edges to keep this team in it. And yeah, it's definitely not pretty, but some perspective is always helpful. Did you see Red Sox Twitter this week? Those are miserable people. Those are flat out miserable people, and I'm so sorry for that fan base for what they just went through, dropping 2 or 3 to the Rockies in excruciating fashion. The Mets kind of always have it worse too. So
Yeah.
you hate to resort to those cop outs of like, hey, it could be worse, but it's been a weird season. There have been a lot of teams that came into the season with high expectations that are not firing on all cylinders. And again, the American League, especially, the Yankees look really good, and then I don't really know what to make of anybody else. And you can say that they don't quite deserve it right now, but the Jays just have to use that to their advantage and press onward, because this game doesn't wait for anybody.
No, it definitely doesn't. Okay, so I think like that's enough. Like of the man, like baseball is such a hard sport to watch. Like it is, and we know that. So I think it's good to get that off our chest a little bit, and that now we can kind of dig into what we actually saw with our eyes here. When was the last time you saw a pitcher, a right-handed pitcher or left-handed pitcher or whatever, a pitcher throw to third base on a pickoff attempt?
You got me. You got me. I can't say that I have recently, and definitely not in a tie ball game with one of your high leverage guys on the mound. Kazuma Okamoto definitely didn't know it was coming. If you look at his reaction, he was not holding low profito on the bag. He was not even really looking at squarely at Hoffman when the throw came over. So he wasn't ready for it. We're recording this like pretty much right after the final out. So I haven't seen any quotes from John Schneider or anybody about that play. I'd be curious to see what the fallout of that is, but do you have something?
I've got it, Matt. So John
All right,
Schneider,
hit me.
60 seconds ago from Keegan Matheson. Some confusion with Kaz, who thought it was coming from the catcher, is what John Schneider said. Basically, sounds like it's a planned play that they have for the pitcher to throw over to third base. It's not one that I've seen. I watch a lot of this baseball team, a lot of the Blue Jays. I've not seen them do that, but it sounds like it's something that is on Kaz. Again, whether Kaz is on the bag or not, like Jeff Hoffman made just a brutal throw. And I get how you can get yippy a little bit, like a balk will score a run there. At the same time, just like, I don't know. It's dumbfounding, to be honest.
Yeah, it just kind of ties into the whole common theme of like things are slipping through the cracks right now that didn't used to last year. And I feel like every time there's a fundamental kind of mishap like this, and there has been a lot more of that in 2026. Caleb Joseph just goes on the most epic rant on the broadcast for like a minute, just talking about how this is the difference between winning and losing, and this is why they aren't where they need to be right now. There was a miscommunication almost a month ago now in Atlanta between Vladdy and Valenzuela, just off the top of my head, on a foul pop-up that dropped, and that sent Caleb on a pretty nice tirade right there. So every time there's a booted play or just a fundamental miscue, it's nice to hear that some of the voices of this team are coming together and saying, hey, this is basic stuff right here. This is fundamental baseball. This can't be happening. This is again, in a game where the margins were slim. This is the difference between winning and losing. But yeah, I don't know how that happens. Even a back pick play with Hoffman on the mound in one out in the eighth inning with the go ahead run at third base is kind of bold to me. But I don't know whether that's 100% true or not. I don't know, man. Things are slipping through the cracks right now. That's just the common theme, and the more that happens, when guys aren't firing on all cylinders and the offense isn't hitting, you need to be sound. You need to be there. It needs to be error-free, high-effort baseball, and it was not, and it kind of reared its ugly head in the series finale at the worst possible time.
Yeah, dude. Like, I feel like we could do the whole hour on Jeff Hoffman throwing that ball into left field. I'm probably not come to a conclusion or find an answer on it, because
that's the thing.
Really,
we're never going to,
dude. Like,
yeah.
It feels like I don't know what it feels. It just feels like the Seahawks against the Patriots when like they've got Marshawn Lynch and like they're throwing the ball all instead of just running on the 1 yard line. Like, it's not a perfect 1-to-1 comparison, but it's just like, what are you like? It's just unexplainable. Like, there was just no explanation for making that play. And for me, like, like you shouldn't have even been in that situation, because Mike Burrows, who comes in this game with a 5-something ERA, is giving up more runs than any other pitcher in baseball or the American League, I believe. Like, he stuffed you in a locker, man. Like, what did you see from him tonight? Because, like, was that Mike Burrows pitching or some other version of like Justin Verlander? Like, I don't understand how that happened.
Okay, yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned Mike Burrows. And look, this is no disrespect to Mike Burrows personally. The Astros got him in a 3-team deal. He's a cost-controlled starter. He was a pretty good back end of the rotation guy with Pittsburgh last year. So they had reason to expect him to be serviceable coming into the season. And so far, until tonight at least, he had not been that. 16 homers and a 5.79 ERA coming into this ball game here. And he threw 6 innings of 1-run ball, giving up 2 hits, walked 1. The pitchers who are struggling are seeing the Jays lineup right now and having one of their best outings of the year, and that's something that really can't continue if they want to get out of this endless middle once again that they find themselves in. And it was just only 3 strikeouts, barely any swing and miss, but so much weak contact. If you look at the breakdown on Savant there after the game, 6 hard hit balls against Mike Burrows on 17 batted balls. Nothing about his pitch mix to lefties was any different than it has been this year coming into the game. The one big difference was there was a lot of right-on-right changeups, and I think the Jays, especially at the top of the order, were not expecting that, and they had a problem with it. Still, the following stats I think are the worst about the Jays' performance against Mike Burrows here. Against the slider, okay? So he zoned the slider 42% of the time tonight. 53% chase. Curveball, 58% zone on the curveball. So he was throwing the curveball for strikes, okay? He had a feel for it. He was dropping it in there. 43% zone swing, 40% chase. And on the changeup, 0 hard hit balls despite 90% zone swing. So whether they thought it was a fastball or they thought it was a sinker, which he's been throwing a lot to righties this year, changeup tunnels well off those. They were swinging at changeups in the zone. It didn't hit it hard once at all. Springer in particular today, he had multiple instances where he was up 2-0 in the count and then chased a slider out of the zone on 2-0 and swung and missed at it. Like, Burrows did it to him once, and you have reason to believe that he's going to do it again. It hasn't been a great series for George. He's in a fastball count. He swung and missed his slider, flailed at it, and then it happens again his next at bat. They had no answer for below average stuff from Mike Burrows. He's not a nasty pitcher. You have to call it what it is. He's more of a kitchen sink command guy. And those stats to me on the breaking balls, when you compare how much it was in the zone to how much they swung at it and where they weren't ready. They weren't ready. They were not prepared for what Mike Burrows brought to the table tonight. And in the few spots where they were convicted in being aggressive, they don't have enough power to do any damage. So every time things seem to be turning a corner with the offense, like 4-1, they had in the Red Sox Cubs series, they had the massive comeback on Saturday. Every time it feels like things are turning around, they just this was a failure today. This game was. I hate to be so brash about it, but it wasn't unlucky. What happened against Mike Burrows in this ball game was a failure. And again, that's going to happen over the course of 162, but they had backed themselves into a corner today where they couldn't afford to fail. And they had the significant advantage matchup wise on paper. And they let a guy who has gotten crushed pretty much all year come in and do his thing and find his way back to form. So it's a momentum swing, and it's a big reason why they lost this series.
Matt, dude, so you promised me a rant on the offense when we were messaging before I sent you the link and we went live here. Impressive, dude. That was good. There's not much else to say. I think the only thing left to do is call out guys specifically, and I think the approach is the team approach and the individual approach and at the plate. it looks like they're not going out there with a plan. Like, and it like it's a kind of a terrible thing to say about major league hitters. These guys are professional hitters. Their job is to go to the plate with a plan. That's how they make their living. But when I see a guy like George Springer, and it's not even in the final game of the series, but he goes up with Andres Jimenez on third base, 1 out, or maybe not Jimenez on third. Jimenez dropped the bunt out. Whatever, dude, doesn't matter. Winning run on third base and 1 out. You got to hit a fly ball to win the game. Springer goes up 1-0 in the count, and he's chasing a sweeper way off the plate and grounding it weakly up the middle. And to me, that's like you're pressing. Like, you have an advantage count. You have the chance to kind of sit back and kind of pick a ball up in the zone that you want to hit and get in the air, and instead you're chasing it off the plate. And it's the same deal with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which we've seen so much all season. Is there any hitter on this team that you feel less good about when they have a hitter's count than Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Because when as soon as he's up 2-0 or 2-1 or 3-1, like he's like, I've got a free swing here, and he's going to use it no matter where the pitch is. And I feel like it's just a lot of that with these guys.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel when Vladdy's in a hitter's count, because every time he is, I'm like, okay, if he's ever going to have an emphatic slump busting homer, it's going to be in this spot. And it doesn't happen. It's kind of, I would kill to be really a fly on the wall in the hitters meetings and everything that's going on pregame, because like these people aren't stupid. Like David Popkins isn't telling them to chase 2-0 breaking balls out of the zone. Like they're smart guys. They know what's happening to them. I guess it just goes back to baseball is hard, but I would love to know what's going on. And what is causing this, because like, again, the swing decisions and the plan of attack against a 5-pitch guy tonight. Again, you heard the stats earlier. It didn't make much sense to me. The left on base issues, especially with the top of the order, they got pretty out of hand this series. Like I'm sympathetic. Like Vladdy has been both not himself, but also cursed. Like I'm going to rattle off a couple of expected batting averages here for you. The sac fly in the first game, the first sac fly, I believe, on Monday night. Where was it here? The expected batting average on that one was 960. He had a 710 XBA lineout, was second, third in the second game. And then the lineout to end the sixth inning tonight was 560. So the few times where he is making quality contact, he's getting unlucky. And that is just not an enviable place to be in. And look, people are always going to try and find a reason and draw their own conclusions about why things aren't going well this year. Fact of the matter is the offense with runners in scoring position for the Jays explains the vast majority of the difference between this year and last year. It does. It's not satisfying. I know people might want a bit more of a big picture answer, but that's kind of it. It determines a lot, but it's one of those things that's not predictive, so you don't really know how to act on it. But last year's team punched above their weight by being the best in the league with runners in scoring position, and this year's team is doing the opposite by being one of arguably the worst. So it's kind of crazy to see both extremes happen in back-to-back years, even though the roster construction is pretty different. I think the true talent level of this team is not that different at all from last year. Like I'd say it's in between the results that they've gotten last year and this year, but it's pretty crazy how runners in scoring position has dictated where this team goes. But hey, that's baseball. You got to come up in big spots, and it's not something that you can necessarily predict will happen with regularity and prepare for. But last year we saw the very positive end of the spectrum with everything going right in big spots offensively, and this year it's just kind of been the opposite. So you hope it levels out one of these days.
Oh, Matt, we got you back. The Wi-Fi is absolutely killing me right now. Do you have me?
I got you.
All right. Okay. So runners in scoring position, is that kind of where you left off there?
How much of that did you miss?
I got most of it. So I think the runners in scoring position kind of comes to me where it's like I've got the numbers up here, and Jays are 30th out of 30 with RISP this season when it comes to weighted runs created plus, 82 after being second best in 2025. And you said it, but that's kind of all there is to this team. And like that's the one difference. Like the pitching staff actually has been better this year than it was in 2025, which like I don't know if that passes your eye test, but it legitimately all comes down to runners in scoring position.
Yeah, and again, it's not stable year over year. Just look no further than this team right now. But it explains a lot of your performance, and it hasn't been where they needed it to be this year. And if you want a lion's share of the explanation for the record right now and why they can't seem to put a solid winning streak together, look no further than that. And hey, 30th last year or 30th this year, excuse me, and second last year, there's bound to be a middle ground in there somewhere. But until it's there, this is kind of what's just going to continue to happen.
Yeah, dude. Okay. I think with that, we're probably going to take our first break here. When we get back, lots more digging in to do. I think Shane Bieber's first start back off the IL is probably a good place to start. And then like we really dug into that last game of the series where the Jays fell to the Astros. I think we're going to do kind of a similar kind of break it all down with the second game of the series, also a pretty tough loss. So we're going to take this quick break and be right back on the other side. Alrighty, so Matt, Shane Bieber comes off the injured list to a pretty rude welcome. Kind of didn't really have his best stuff. Was kind of gutting through it, working through some like lots of hard contact. He looked okay through 3 innings, and then got to the fourth, and it was back to back home runs, 3 straight solo shots. Ended the day giving up 4 earned, 9 hits on those 3 2/3 innings. Did you like anything from Bieber in that start, or like was it a frustrating one for you as well?
Yeah, tough result. 3 homers in a row is never good. Never a good idea to be on. Never a good thing to be on the other side of that. But I didn't think it was all terrible. Like I would have been a lot more concerned if he was sitting like 88 with his fastball. But it was kind of a mixed bag stuff wise for him. Like he had another inch of vert on it and run compared to last year. Like I think it was a 19-11 ball yesterday. Compared to 18-10 last year. I was looking at the TJ stats, like in-game summary, and it got like a 109 stuff plus, I think it was on the fastball. So that's pretty good. He still got the kick change. It was still getting a lot of swing and miss. And I liked that he was mixing in cutters. In theory, I don't hate the idea of a guy like this mixing more as he ages, but this was a location issue, I think, in this one for Bieber. That's all you can really chalk it up to. He couldn't elevate his fastball. There were a lot of misses down, which is not what you want to see on a hybrid fastball. And the slider was either hung or bounced, like no real in between. This is kind of a perfect example of the stuff and location pendulum and the fine line that is kind of walked by those who don't miss bats. Like you're not expecting gaudy swing and miss numbers with Bieber. He's a ball and play guy, but man, he got clobbered. 5 barrels, 10 hard hit balls for Shane Bieber. The homer to Yainer Diaz was out of the zone, cutter up and away, got his arms extended to it, whatever. Didn't bury the slider enough on Cam Smith, and I think that's just one of those instances where if your slider is going to be 84, avoiding the heart of the plate isn't good enough on its own. You really have to bury it against a guy with a loud swing like Cam Smith. And then looking at I have to bring this up, dude. Looking at the pitch locations in his 2 matchups with Taylor Trammell is pretty hilarious. First one, he gave him a middle away fastball that Trammell smoked, but he just got under it like it was a deep flyout. And then the second at bat, he came back with the exact same pitch, except like a little more towards middle. So this was in the back of Trammell's head and into the 500 level that ball went. 91 in that spot is unfortunately BP, and I'm sure Biebs would be the first to admit that. But again, you walk a fine line when you're not a stuff guy. Your location's got to be pretty pristine, and for Bieber today, it wasn't. And again, I would be much more concerned if after all this lengthy rehab process, he was still sitting with very low velocity like we saw in the rehab stints of Jose Barrios and lately Jimmy Garcia. But the stuff was fine to me. This is more or less what you get with Shane Bieber. He's just got to be a little more precise next time. So curious to see how he builds on that and makes that adjustment next start.
Yeah, it all comes down to, for me, it was 10 hard hit balls, only 6 whiffs. And I think when you're running a ratio like that, it's hard to be very successful. I think you kind of nailed it. Like, I noticed that the stuff was actually up too. While the velo's down, but he's getting more vert on the fastball. Like, that's like fine with me, actually. Like, I think that's okay. You mentioned it with the location as well. Like, location plus and stuff plus obviously take a pretty long time to normalize, but like 93 location plus in the start on Fangraphs. He was a 106 last year and a 103 and a couple short starts in Cleveland in 2024. Like, this is what the guy does, is he locates the shit out of the ball. And you were right. It was either uncompetitive, bounce breaking balls, or middle. And he was having a hard time finding the edge of the zone at all. I think for a first start, it's okay. It's the kind of thing, it's like you just need him to be better than that going forward. Unfortunately, like, you are relying on Bieber, like, and there's going to be a long runway because you're running out Patrick Corbin and Max Scherzer and bullpen days for pretty much this entire season, and Eric Lauer even. Like, if you want to go back to like the very beginning, so Bieber's going to have a chance to like do this until the wheels fall off. Basically, is what I'm trying to say, and I think we hopefully don't have to watch the wheels fall off. I think I saw some things that like I believe in, and that I think he can get back to being Bieber. It's just he's got to actually pitch better. We need better results.
Yeah, just execution. Pitching consistently on the shadow zone is something that only a handful of guys in this game can do. And when Bieber's at his best, he can do it. So again, not gravely concerned. That was rough, but it's one of those ones I think you can pretty confidently flush, and wait to see what you get the next couple starts here before you draw any conclusions.
Yeah. What do you want to see in your next start from him?
I feel like we kind of said it all right there. Just more on the corners, just more precise with your spots. Not missing middle when guys are looking to swing, because if it's something that hitters pick up on fast. Like, if you're missing middle down 91, especially to lefties, like, they're going to go up there, smell blood in the water. So just that's something I think that comes with a little more in game. Like, he has, like, that was his first time pitching in a Major League Baseball game since Game 7. So that's something I think, as he gets his feet wet and reacclimates to being back in the big leagues. He's been hurt before. This is an adjustment he's had to make before. So I wouldn't put it past him to do it. But yeah, just finishing pitches and not missing in big spots, really.
Yeah, dude. Okay. So Jay's behind the 8 ball early, thanks to that Bieber start, down 4-0 after 4 innings. And they kind of worked their way back into it and actually score 6 unanswered and take the lead. It's the Urias. His first homer as a J. Dalton Varsho gets into one, 2-run homer. All of a sudden it's tied. Kazuma Okamoto stays hot, man. 2-run single. You're up 6-4. You take that lead into the 9th inning. Tyler Rogers on the mound after Louis Varland had pitched the night before. Me and Jesse at least have been talking on this podcast about saying we need to find ways to not need Louis Varland to nail down every single win. You need to win a blowout every now and then. You need to kind of find places where doesn't have to pitch what it feels like every night. And when you have kind of played the way that Jay's having a bunch of close games, you end up with Tyler Rogers and his 83-mile-an-hour sinker on the mound in the 9th inning, and it burns you. It's 3 hits. He gives up 2 runs. One of them comes in on catcher's interference, because of course it does. And he blows a save, and you end up in extra innings. Like, it's hard to nitpick at Tyler Rogers, I think, a lot of times, because like when it's effective, it's so effective. And on the whole, he's been good. I think that 9th inning in Game 2, though, was the exact reason why people in baseball, people will always kind of look for swing and miss in the 9th inning rather than, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but a guy that's trying to force you to hit the ball soft.
Yeah, I'm not going to, beat a horse while he's down and harp on Rogers too much, because he's been so huge this year, and Just 24 hours before, everybody's thinking, man, how great is the back end of this bullpen? Rogers coming in the eighth, getting that big double play ball. So he's a massive piece of this team, and I'm not going to single him out too much for this. He couldn't get the ground ball he needed. Altuve and Paredes especially got some pretty good wood on their singles that they hit in the ninth inning. And yeah, you can 100% argue that this is why you need strikeouts in the ninth. So there's no chance of BABIP voodoo bullshit ever happening. But that's 100% true. But then this is why that's on the offense, because had they broken it open one time on Monday and they had 100 chances to do it, then Barlin doesn't pitch that day. Farland can pitch on Tuesday if needed, but nope, he's down because he had to use him the night before, and he threw 28 pitches 2 days before that. So then Rogers has to come in, and despite all of that, catcher's interference, that would have been the second out, by the way. That was strike 3 to Loperfido. Valenzuela interferes, catches. It was a late emergency hack by Loperfido, catches the glove on the backswing. That would have been strike 3, and then hypothetically the Cam Smith sac fly turns into the game-ending flyout. Is that the game right there? You could argue it. It's just crazy, the ridiculous things that have happened every time the Jays are on the doorstep of being over 500. But yeah, Rogers gave up one too many hard line drives, and the Jays paid for it. And even after that, the game was still really in their hands on a silver platter, but was not to be.
Yeah, I think you're right not to bury Rogers. I think there are much, much larger problems with this team. And it's a ERA that's below 2 yet again this season. The walk rate is a little high. It's obviously not what burned them in this appearance here, but a 7.6 walk rate is the highest of his career, which is something to kind of keep an eye on going forward with him. I guess not much you can really do about it because he's here for the long run, but I think just kind of interesting to see that that's up. And the Astros actually did get to him. It didn't feel like BABIP in that inning, and I think that's kind of what concerned me. It felt like when he was giving up contact, he was giving up the ball was off the ground. When Rogers is giving up the ground balls through the infield, I can live with that. It's when it's line drives over the shortstop and second baseman's head, and that's kind of the problem you run into.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And they're pretty staunch believers in just kind of ignoring batted balls for pitchers altogether. And line drive singles aren't a stable thing in and of themselves either. But regardless, whether you're talking about wanting to avoid those weird, off the end of the background balls that only Tyler Rogers can seem to induce because of the angle of the pitch incoming, or whether it's the line drive singles, regardless, there's no chance of any of that happening if you have swing and miss in the ninth. And the Jays would have had swing and miss in the ninth if they didn't have to burn Louis Varland on Monday night, which is once again a direct byproduct of the offense failing to capitalize on the chances they had to blow the doors off that game. And the Astros did their best. I actually have written down every single inning except the 6th, 1 through 8, they had men in scoring position with 2 outs, and it was just sac flies was the best they could do. So they had to use Varland on Monday, and that's why Tuesday unfolded in the ninth the way it did.
Well, the sac fly would have got the job done in the 10th inning on Tuesday in Game 2 of that series. And, of course, George Springer could not come up with it. Grounds out weekly and sets the table for Braden Fisher to be forced to come out for a second inning. Got a 0 in the 10th. Awesome to see from Fisher, man. A guy that kind of, it's hard to sing his praises sometimes because he's the 4th or 5th guy in the bullpen, but a very good season on the whole from a really young guy. And it's tough when you ask a guy to get a second 0 in extra innings with the ghost runner, zombie runner, whatever you want to call it, on second base. And he was close, man. He was 1 pitch away from getting out of that inning, and flips in one of those big breaking balls down and into Joey Loperfido, and Joey didn't miss it because, of course, he didn't, man. Because I don't know, what did you see from Joey Loperfido? I guess we don't have to really air it out, but just hurts to see a guy come into Rogers Center, a guy you traded away, and immediately get burned by him.
we're Toronto sports fans. This was always going to happen.
Yeah.
I, I, if anyone is surprised, you are just haven't been here long enough. But this is kind of how it goes. Former guys come in here and they do damage. Loperfido had not been having a very productive season before this, but nothing like a trip to your old stomping grounds to motivate you. And yeah, listen, I know this is not the first backbreaking homer that Fisher has given up in the late innings this month, but I can't bring myself to really fault him. He did exactly what he needed to do in the 10th for them to win. Like, for the love of God, the Astros bunted in the 10th to bring up Christian Vasquez. Like, I can't believe they didn't win this game in the 10th inning. But anyway, he got Vasquez to pop out. He got the inning ground out after that sac bunt. And then he came out and intentionally walked Jordan to start the 11th and then struck out two guys and was a strike away with Loperfido. So they asked him to bite off a little bit more than they could chew. Sure, his end of season numbers aren't going to look pretty as they could have as a result of that homer to Joey Loperfido. But again, I can't bring myself to be too mad at Braden Fisher for what happened there. He was a victim of circumstance. Yeah, he'd probably tell you that he could have and should have executed that pitch to Loperfido a little bit better. And yeah, it's probably true. But yeah, I with everything that went into it and him having to come back out for the 11th and almost dragging them there to the bottom of the 11th, tied again. I would not be as frustrated as I think you normally would with a reliever coming in and giving up a 3-run homer late in the ball game. So
yeah, it's more of the Joey Loperfido of it all, honestly. For me, it's
yeah.
like because Jesus Sanchez came in and like has refused to try and hit for any power, and like Joey Loperfido was like, oh, I could hit for a little bit of power, and like, did we even mention that he's the guy that scored on the Jeff Hoffman throwing error directly following like just the hardest hit ball you've ever seen off the center field fence for a triple, like, because of course he has his hands all over both of these really frustrating losses, I guess, is kind of what we're looking at. I don't know, dude. Like, do you have anything else from these two losses, or do we want to kind of finish this on a little bit of a positive note? There's some fun stuff to get to in game one, I guess.
Yeah, I could dissect a few more things. I think if you want to start with Tuesday, the Jays were facing Peter Lambert. I guess you'd be forgiven as a casual fan if you don't know who that is. But the Astros brought him back over from Japan this offseason. He has been having a pretty good year. Again, kitchen sink guy, not a swing and miss guy. And he did a good job mixing. He had righties in a blender this game, 4-seam slider sinker. It seemed like they could never pick up on what was coming. And then again, the right-on-right changeups to Vlad and George was a pretty constant theme throughout the series. The Astros exploited that, and it worked. The Jays had a 38% whiff rate on his fastball. Like, come on, dude. Run-of-the-mill fastball shape. That's just they had bases loaded in the first, and then Varsho chased a couple fastballs at his head and struck out. And I guess we got the Varsho experience in one day because he immediately followed that up with a double and then a game-tying homer. So you live with it. And then in the second inning, the Vladdy line out and the George strikeout before that was just tough. And no, game three, I don't think I really have anything else to say. We kind of aired it out when we were drowning in our sorrows for the first 10 minutes of this episode. Okay, actually, here's something. I haven't updated this after today, but you want to guess what Vladdy's WRC plus is since May 1st? This, like, I know it hasn't been good, but this surprised me.
It's below 100, I'm assuming. Oh, well, lower than that. Okay. Are we talking in the 80s?
72.
Oh, dude. That's
so
since May
that's
1st?
That's 144th out of 158 qualified hitters. The first thing the first place I go to when I hear something like that and read something like that, I had to like stare at the screen for a couple of minutes and just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. But like first percentile outcomes don't continue forever. And Vladdy is not the only high salary guy right now who has been one of the worst hitters in the league for a while. There's a whole bunch of that going on over in San Diego, who the Jays have in a couple weeks. Yeah, you want proof of concept. You want answers. He's just got to go. This team's going to go with him slugging 301 in that time span. And again, there's not much use in kicking a guy while he's down because he's been unlucky too, and I don't want to harp on it too much beyond that. But that is something that I saw last night and threw me for a loop. But I guess that's where we are.
It's hard to have Jays conversations like twice a week, and Jesse and I do this after every series, and it's hard to have these conversations and not always just bring it right back to Vlad and have that be an entertaining product. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard because every conversation we have ends with, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has a 72 weighted runs created plus over the last month and a half, right?
Yeah.
And that's how this conversation has to start and end, unfortunately. And I don't know, like, as much as we want to analyze like the Jeff Hoffman throwing the ball away in that game, or like George Springer not getting the job done with the runner on third base, or even like, if we even talked about Luis Urias, like just absolutely lost in between second and third base in the 8th inning. Like, we didn't even that's how bad this series was. We couldn't even get to that. And
it's mistakes, man. It's just mistakes. Game
thing is,
costing mistakes. That's all it is.
The thing is, none of that matters if Vlad is like hitting 2 homers in a game, or he's got 2 extra base hits in like any of these games. Like, if Vlad was doing what you expect him to do, and like, obviously he's not going to hit 2 homers a game for an entire season, but like, you would think at this point he'd have a home run at the Rogers Center in 2026, wouldn't you? Or like at least a couple doubles in some of these. Like, he's not doing anything, man.
Game 6, Logan Gilbert. Last time it happened at the Rogers Center. It's crazy, man. It's unbelievable. You got to think we're closer to the end than the start of that. That's wow.
If you're going to keep watching Blue Jays baseball, you do have to believe that, because if you don't believe that, genuinely just don't turn that on the TV, because like there's no point, honestly. With that dramatic note, I think we're going to take our final break here. On the other side, we got a little series preview. We do have to break down Dylan Cease and what was another confusing start from him. Like, one of those where it's like, he didn't really look that good, but you look at the final stat line, and you're like, okay, good job, Dill. Honestly, I don't even know if it's worth talking about it anymore, but I was really happy with what I saw from the Jays against Hunter Brown. All that on the other side. We'll talk in a second. Alrighty, back on the J Center podcast. Matt, we're in the final stretch here. It's been a long night from us. I think like being negative is hard for me. It makes me tired, makes me frustrated. And I think Dylan Cease kind of did give us some positives to talk about. And I'm going to nitpick at it because I think that's kind of not that hard to do with this start, but effective one from Cease, right?
Yeah, let's be positive now. It's the least we could do after all this. I was thinking this. I was in the building on Monday night, and I was thinking this as I was looking up at the scoreboard and looking at Dylan Cease's line. It kind of came to me that, and I knew this when the Jays got him, because it's just the very rare combo of a strikeout guy who makes every start, but he also doesn't pitch deep into games. Like, he's kind of a contradiction. There isn't really any other pitcher like this in baseball. Like, it's so weird how all the ingredients kind of mix together, but it still just kind of works. What stood out to me about Dylan Cease in this start is it was the highest percentage of sliders that we've seen from him since his very first start against the A's in opening week. And I believe that this was a scouting report thing. If you look at the pitch type values on Fangraphs, the Astros are 25th out of 30 against sliders results wise. There are a lot of guys on that team who have like pull side attack directions. They're like looking to catch the ball out front, swing early. So I think the plan was, and again, Dylan Cease has lots of ways to do this now with his expanded arsenal, but hey, maybe there was a weakness that they identified and thought, hey, this is a way that we can catch the Astros out front. And that was the plan, even though his slider is really hard. And it worked for the most part. Like, swing and miss wasn't crazy, but they chased it a lot. They only went 1 for 4, didn't give up a single hard hit with it or in total. So good job by Dylan Cease to limit the quality contact and really push the slider when, so much of his success this season has been about rounding out that arsenal and learning how to get weak contact and branch off from just being the guy who spins the ball and gets swings and misses, but also gets lit up because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. So he's been a more kind of well-rounded pitcher this year, but I thought it was interesting how he kind of got back to that slider, and then 70% first pitch strike on the fastball is a number I also really liked from that. So it was inefficient at times. The first inning made it kind of seem like we were going to be in for a long night, but then he really settled in after that. And once again, you look at the final box score and it all kind of turned out okay, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the 4 walks is something like we're going to nitpick at with Dylan Cease probably for the rest of his career. It's what he does is he walks 3 or 4 guys a night. And then you look at it and you're like, man, if you were a little bit more efficient, we could have got you through 6 or 7 innings here. Instead, it's 5 2/3 because we're at 110 pitches. And you could have kept going. The stuff doesn't decline. He's just an absolute workhorse as he goes through games. And I think, honestly, if he came out a little bit stronger, the numbers would look even better. I pulled the ERA by inning for him. And in the first inning, he's got a 3.21, which you'll take that for Dylan Cease, over a full season. A 3.21 ERA is awesome. But in the second, it's down to 129. In the third, 193, 257 in the fourth. That's when you're getting second time through in the fourth inning there. In the fifth inning, 346, and that's when you get to third time through, and then 540 in the sixth. So it does raise in the fifth and sixth innings, but he is so much more effective in innings 2, 3, 4 than he is in inning 1. And I think it's the last couple times I've noticed is he comes out and he's good for a leadoff walk or a leadoff hit, and he's kind of in trouble early and before he kind of settles in. And I don't really know what to make of that. Do you?
No, this seems to be I can't name anybody else who does it off the dome here, but I feel like I've heard of this before. Otherwise great pitchers just struggling in the first inning. Maybe just teams know that that's their greatest chance because Dylan Cease is not a guy you want to let get settled into a groove. But I'm really glad you mentioned the stuff not declining there because he threw multiple fastballs over 98.5 to Altuve in his final at bat. His final batter he faced the night was Jose Altuve in the sixth. And he was over 100 pitches at this point. So the fact that he's still you can round up to 99 on the radar gun when he's north of 100 pitches, that is so sick, dude. We've never had a pitcher like that. I thought it was totally electric when he turned John Schneider away and asked for Altuve. That I can't recall that happening before this season where John comes out to the mound and goes back without making a pitching change. So I think Cease was definitely rearing back for a little more in that at bat to Altuve, which you love to see. He rose to the occasion. I know Altuve wound up dropping in a single in there, but I have no problem with how that turned out. I'm not going to blame Dylan Cease for giving up a 60-mile-an-hour single. That was kind of one of the cheapest, most lollipop singles I've ever seen. So credit to Altuve, I guess, for fighting the ball off. But no qualms with them leaving him in to face Altuve. And again, it all worked out in the end. So it's easier to say in hindsight, but great to see Dylan, north of 100, 105 pitches. And that's not the first time he's done that. He can still rear back and touch 98, 99, 100, even when he's that late into a ball game. So it takes a really talented arm to do that. And the arm talent's been on full display, the swing and miss, the strikeouts all year. And again, the walks I think that's just something we have to live with, but it came together in a weird and yet effective way on Monday night for him. So shout out Dylan Cease.
Yeah, he's an all-star, right?
Gotta be.
Yeah, I think so too. Another guy, if he had been healthy all season, would have been an all-star. Hunter Brown is who the Jays matched up against on Monday night. He's coming off the IL, so obviously not built all the way back up. Was only good for about 85 pitches, but God, did the Blue Jays make him work for all 85 of those. 3 innings is all they got out of that, or the Astros got out of him. Do you like what you saw from the Jays' approach? Because honestly, those first 3 innings was kind of the only time I really liked the offense in this series.
See, that's what's so tough about it, because you see what they did to Brown on Monday night, and you're like, oh man, the offense is really turning a corner. Because those are the kind of ABs that make you think runs are just on the doorstep, and it never really happened. But yeah, you said it. Gone after 85 pitches, 3 innings. He was throwing nearly 30 pitches an inning. So the Jays ran him out of there after 85 pitches in 3 innings. 9.4% swinging strike rate from Hunter Brown in this start. That sounds a lot more Blue Jays-y to me than what would follow in this ball game. But I really liked how they put bat on ball and made him work. Like 85 pitches in 3 innings is an ugly number that no starting pitcher out there ever wants to see, regardless of whether you're coming off the IL. Brown, when healthy, is one of the best pitchers in the AL. So that's something that I can't believe they didn't build off of. But yeah, they had 3 hard hits against his sinker. And I really liked I really want to shout out the at-bats in the 3rd inning. They had 2 out, nobody on, and then Varsho and Okamoto took back-to-back 2-out walks. That was real professional. And that really helped end his night early. When you think about it, ran up that pitch count up into the mid-8s that early. So that was a big deal, man. So it's not like when you say it like that, it's not like there were no positives to take away at all for the offense this series. I mean, they have what they did against Hunter Brown. They just got to bottle that up and somehow extend it into those clutch hitting spots, into those high leverage situations. But yeah, he did not have a good time on Monday, Hunter Brown.
No. And Kazma also got him for a homer in addition to that walk. Unfortunately, it couldn't have come when there was guys on base, but worked him into a 3-2 count, got a sinker up in the zone, and did not miss it. Kind of exactly the approach that you want to see from him when Kaz is at his best, is when he's hitting fastballs up in the zone. And he got to one there. What's that, 17 on the season for him now? Something like that. Really, who would have thought that this was the kind of power numbers we were going to see from him? Not me, at least. So encouraging stuff from the Jays against Brown. I think a little bit frustrating because it shows you, like, when they put their mind to it, the Jays know how to have that approach. Like, those are the type of at-bats we saw them put together, like, throughout all of October. And when it mattered the most, that's what the Jays would do, is they would, like, pack their lunch, like, dig into the box, and, like, they would need a body bag to get them out of there. Like, that's kind of the way that they would put it themselves. And I think you haven't seen a whole lot of that in 2026 until then. And I think that's kind of what's frustrating. Do you have any more on that game? Obviously, the Jays ended up winning that baseball game, so kind of positive. We talked about the sac flies being the only way that they were able to score runs aside from that Kaz homer, but anything else there?
Yeah, I know I touched on it earlier, but bullpen was huge. Shout out to Braden Fisher as well for coming into the 6th inning after that hard luck single by Altuve and just putting out that fire immediately. Rogers and Farland were so huge. Even after Tuesday's debacle, the Jays' primary setup man has a sub-2 ERA, while their closer is having probably the best relief season in franchise history. Like, this is why they're still alive. This is a huge reason why they're still alive right now. And I tell people every chance I get, appreciate what we're getting out of Louis Varland, because this is like a once-in-a-generation season that you're going to get out of a closer. This does not happen. Although maybe the Jays can will that into happening because they have Varland under team control for however many more years. I'm sure Kendry Rojas is going to go on to do great things. The Twins, I know he debuted with them this year, but what a trade that was. But again, they shouldn't have had to use him. I just got to rattle this off real quick. Monday night, 1st inning, 1st and 2nd, 2 out, Varsho strikeout. 1st and 2nd, 2 out in the 2nd, Lucas strikeout. Bases loaded, 2 out in the 3rd. Clement grounds in that force play. Bases loaded, nobody out in the 4th. Vlad has that 960 XBA sac fly, and then Varsho barrel fly out to end the inning. 1st and 2nd, 1 out in the 5th. Jimenez GIDP. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out in the 7th. I'm not going to blame Straw for coming off the bench and hitting a sac fly, but then an early walk loaded them up, and Jimenez struck out. Then bases loaded, nobody out in the 8th. Kirk sac fly, Varsho GIDP. So that was all one game, and that's why Louis Varland had to pitch, and that's why what happened on Tuesday happened. So I just had to get that off my chest, because those, like, that is 7 separate innings where just one crooked number was very feasible, and it ended up having an outsized effect on the rest of the series. So they won on Monday. It didn't come back to haunt them on Monday, but it did later on. And that's kind of the story.
Yeah, dude. So here's to less of that happening when the Texas Rangers come to town. No day off for the Jays. They're going to have Kevin Gausman going up against Mackenzie Gore. Pat Corbin, I cannot believe he's still pitching for this team, going up against Nathan Eovaldi. Dylan Cease back at it against Kumar Rocker, and then Shane Bieber making his second start of the season against Cal Quantrill. Notably, you miss Jacob deGrom. You have to like the Jays' chances in like pretty much all of those games, don't you? Like you got to win a series here. The Rangers are right behind you in the standings. I'm not sure if they won or lost tonight, but another team that's been struggling coming into right now. The live standings are telling me the Rangers are a game and a half behind you in the wild card. So, like, you got to at least hold them off here. Like, we can't be messing around. 4-game series. You happy with the split here?
I don't think so. I would have been had they taken 2 out of 3 against Houston, but this is a big series, man. Texas is hot on your tail. I know the AL's messy, but this is one of those series where if Texas takes 3 or God forbid all 4, then you're in trouble. They're not far behind, like you said. It's huge that they missed deGrom. I know the Jays have had success against Gore in the past, so hopefully they can channel that. But I think the unfortunate mishaps this series kind of backed them into a spot where they need 3 out of 4. Like it's not a matter of life or death, but it would definitely make things look easier from that point on. They like a 4-game series too. Winning one of those is just such a momentum starter. I feel like you have to see what's in front of you here and take it. You're home for this series, and then at Canada Day, like this is the time. I think they got to go here.
Yeah, it's kind of silly, man, because like they could get swept in this series and then they could rattle off 10 straight wins, and we'd be like, Jays are back. Like Jays are fine. Like they'd be above 500. It'd be awesome. Unfortunately, it doesn't really feel like that's what's coming, and that's kind of what makes it feel like this series, just based on how you played this entire series, where you're at in the standings. Like winning this series 3 to 4, like you're not even gonna be at 500. You got to sweep it, be a game up. Like that's kind of where we're at here, right? Like so, it's time, dude. It's time. The Rangers are not a great team. A team you should be better than, true talent wise at least. And I think we're just gonna have to talk to you after that and kind of see how it goes. I don't know if anybody's really excited to watch this, but it's what we got. The train does not stop rolling.
No, it's their new most important series of the season. Like I know the playoff picture in the AL is so messy that's not going to get sorted out for a while, but and we're still late June here, but there are implications there. You don't want to fall too far behind. So yeah, the time is it's right in front of them, as Aaron Boone would say about the Yankees. So yeah, man, go Jays, win a series.
Alrighty, Matt. Thank you so much, my man, for joining me on this. I hope you had fun. I really enjoyed having you. You were so well prepared, which I really appreciate. It makes my job super easy. Makes it super easy on everyone here. Everybody, make sure you go read Matt's work at J Center and on the pitchers list. And if you yourself enjoyed, make sure you give this 5 stars, like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You can find me and Matt on social media, and we'll talk soon.